Hi, in this video we'll be looking at fractions on the number line. So here we have a number line. It's from the number 0 to 1 and it is broken up into 10 different little sections. These little sections are actually called fractions of a number, and you can see this first one over here is 1/10 because there are 10 little lines over here. This one would be 2/10, 3/10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and that one over there obviously is going to be 9/10 because the next number from 9/10, if you add another tenth to it, we get the number 1. Alright, so here we have a number line. It is from the number 0, so 0 all the way through to 4. What I want you to do is I want you to identify where the halfway mark is between all of these numbers. So for example, you need to say, well, that over there is equal to a half, and do all the others. Off you go. Put the video on pause, come back when you're ready. Alright, well, how'd you go? So that's a half, and that, because that's 1, obviously that's going to be 1.5. If that's 2, that has to be 2.5. If that's 3, that has to be 3.5, and so on. Now there is another way that we can write this. We can actually say it starts at 0 and then we go to a half, and then 1 over 1, obviously we're adding another half to it, so it becomes 2 over 2. And the next number is going to become 3 over 2. The next one is going to be 4 over 2. Next one is going to be 5 over 2, 6 over 2, 7 over 2, and 8 over 2. Now these fractions over here, from here onwards, these are what we call improper fractions. A half is a proper fraction, and these numbers down over here, these are called mixed numbers. Okay, so it's got a whole number and it's got a fraction, so we call those mixed numbers. Obviously that's a whole number, that's a mixed number, whole number, mixed number. These guys over here are what we call improper fractions because they can be simplified further to represent mixed numbers like that, or whole numbers. Half, on the other hand, is what we call a proper fraction. A half cannot be simplified any further than it is already as a half. This number line starts at 0 and carries on past 2, so we go 0, 1, 2, and I'm going to split this little section up into 4 pieces because I want to create quarters. So it'll look a little bit like this. This section over here, I guess that would be about halfway. If that section over there would be a 1/4, and this section over here would be 3/4, because 3 little sections of a quarter gives me 3/4. This over here will be 1 1/4. This over here will be 1 1/2, and this one over here will be 1 3/4. And if I add another quarter, I end up with 2. So once again, I want to represent these numbers down here, these mixed numbers, fractions, mixed numbers and fractions. I want to represent them up here as parts of a quarter. So how do I do that? Well, the first one is easy. Obviously, that's a quarter. This one actually then becomes 2 over 4. That one becomes 3 over 4. And that becomes 4 over 4, and 4 over 4 as a fraction we know can be simplified to 1. And then this becomes 5 over 4, 6 over 4, 7 over 4, and 8 over 4. And 8 over 4, as you know, if we simplified it down, we could end up with the number 2. Alright, well here we have another number line, 0, 1, and it just carries on. So that little arrow means this number line just keeps on going. What I want to do this time is actually break it into sevenths. What I want you to do is give it a go. Break this into sevenths and see how you go. Put the video on pause and come back when you're ready. Alright, well how did you go? You should have something like this over here. 1/7, 2/7. So the number from 0 to 1 should be broken into 7 equal pieces. So 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4, 5, 6 sevenths. And we can keep going, in fact. We can say that this number after the 1 will be 1 and 1/7, 1 and 2/7, 1 and 3/7, 1 and 4/7, 1 and 5/7. Now what I want you to do is represent these fractions, and in particular these mixed numbers, as parts of a seventh. If you can write those numbers up the top. Put the video on pause and come back when you're ready. Alright, well, you should have done what I've pretty much got over here. So the first lot all the way to 6/7 we've got. 1 can be represented as 7/7, and 1 and 1/7 obviously is 8/7, 9/7, 10/7, 11/7, 12/7, and so it goes on. Right, time for you to do some work on these two number lines. Basically, I want you to have a look at them and tell me what is the fraction, okay, for each of the little red dots. Put the video on pause, give it a go, come back when you're ready. Alright, how did you go with the first one? Well, let's have a look at it. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little sections before we get to the number 1. Therefore, we're going up in fifths. Alright, so that'll be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and we know that 5/5 is the same as 1. So therefore, the red dot is actually 4/5. Same principle applies to this number line over here, except we've got two whole numbers. So have a look at the first gap. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 until we get to the number 1. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 until we get to the number 2. So it looks like we're going up in quarters. So this will be a quarter over here. That'll be 2/4. That'll be 3/4. And we know that 4/4 is the same as 1. And then we carry on. That'll be 1 and 1/4. 1 and 2/4, 1 and 3/4. Alright, so that little dot can be written as 1 and 3/4, and its improper fraction, obviously this will be 5/4, this will be 6/4, therefore that as an improper fraction will be 7/4. Okay, so that would be right as an improper fraction. That is correct as a mixed number. Alright, well that's pretty much all there is to representing fractions on a number line, and how do you actually find and place numbers or fractions on a number line.